Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon!
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it! The Ducks have won!
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions!
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch made! Touchdown, Oregon!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It's a bye week. Coach Lanning calls it a work week. We've got Rob Moseley coming up today. We've got Missy Lombardi coming up today. We have a number of Oregon football conversations for you. I'm Joey Mack. Thanks for joining us in the Country Financial Studio. It is Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I think it's going to be a fun week for the Ducks. There's a lot going on around the Washington-Oregon rivalry. Certainly, it's been 2 weeks of build-up now. It's going to be 2 weeks of build-up. But for the Ducks, it is a work week. Coach Lanning said that to Jorgie right after the game last week, that it's a work week, right? I think that has rung true, at least at practice, that I've been around the last couple days. Also coming up today, in addition to Rob Moseley and Missy Lombardi, we will talk with a little bit of Oregon baseball. Now, the Ducks beginning fall practices. We have some updates for you there coming. But I know everyone wants to hear from Coach Lanning. First, a reminder, no coaches show tonight. It's the bye week, so we won't have a coaches show for you this evening. But I'll tell you what, Coach Lanning covered a lot of ground when he met with the media after practice today, and that's where we begin Duck Insider today. Every time we talk with Coach Lanning, it's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Coach Lanning after practice just a moment ago.
Right. Great compete today. We talk about growth week. These guys have been doing a great job attacking it and find a little bit extra they can get better at each week. It's really the week for us of marginal gains, trying to find that 1% for each person that can lead to big gains for our entire team. Go ahead and open it up.
We talked a couple weeks ago about the vertical passing game. Just how are you going about trying to refine that a little bit further this week?
Practice it. Yeah, just practice it and find the opportunities. You got to take advantage of them when you get them.
Those cinematic recaps have been pretty popular. I'm sure you've appreciated it. What are you hoping those kind of show with the program and I guess accomplish?
Yeah, I think you can give a little bit of inside picture of what it's like to be a player here. An inside picture of the excitement that surrounds our team and the fans, like our support. Obviously, great support last week at an away game. That's something we continue to expect. But just an inside view, and then obviously at the end of the day, it always helps us in recruiting. Right, it gives a glimpse of what it's like to be a player here.
Dan, what are your thoughts just on how the defense has been playing through the first 5 games?
Yeah, they've made big strides. They've done a good job so far, but the challenges ahead of us are going to be even bigger. So we have to continue to improve and continue to grow on that side.
Those defensive numbers have been impressive, but I'm sure the turnovers you'd be hoping for a little bit more. Is that something where there's specific things you can do to help that, or is it kind of like sacks where they start to come in bunches?
Well, you work it every single week, but today, every single drill that we did finished with some sort of takeaway, and that's something we continue to emphasize at practice. And usually they show up in bunches, so when they come, hopefully they come with a lot.
How do you feel about the 3rd and 7+ pass defense so far?
Well, it's been disappointing, really. Not 3rd and 7+. It's been disappointing, really, 3rd and 11+. Right? We've actually been really good 3rd and 7 to 10. But once you look at 11 and longer, we've had some mistakes, and most of them have been, mistakes that we can control. Whether it be pass interference, busted assignment. But that's something we can certainly improve.
You said it's a work week, not a bye week, or you feel like your team has accepted that message in practice so far this week?
Yeah, they've really embraced it. They've really embraced it and looked for ways to attack. And this is also a big week for us to be able to dial it back and get back to a connection, get back to spending some time with each other outside of football. Last night we got to have a team dinner together. It was really, a good opportunity to get around each other. We'll do some community service this week. So there's a lot of things that we can tap into and do outside of football as well.
What would you classify as your team's identity, especially going to a tough slate of games?
Yeah, toughness, right? The toughness has to show up now. Everybody's in the season, it's getting longer, right? And you're really not even at the midway point for us. So we have to continue to look to grow, continue to challenge ourselves to make ourselves better. I think they're doing that.
Is the expectation that Noah will play again this season?
I don't think that's probably going to be the case, no.
Is Andrew Boyle out for the year?
Yeah, right now.
Kyrie, any sort of
I don't know about that, if that'll be the year.
Kyrie Jackson.
He's practicing today. Have a good day.
What does the benefit of having 3 running backs in that rotation give you compared to leaning more on 2 guys?
Well, the strength in numbers, right? Same thing we've said all year. The more guys that you have that can play winning football, the better that is for us.
What do you think Jaden Lamar in particular brings to this running back room?
Well, I think he's shown his intelligence to be able to come in as a freshman and really execute his assignment, at a high level. He catches the ball well out of the backfield, and he runs hard in between the tackles.
Same question with Dante then?
Yeah, I mean, Dante's obviously a real physical runner, right? Big body, he's hard to bring down. He broke out a big run yesterday in practice, so excited to see his growth as well.
Bo's completion percentage is extreme. Obviously leads the country. Will had talked in the preseason saying like 70% is a goal, and obviously at 80 that's well surpassing. With better defenses coming up, what is realistic? Is 80 truly realistic in the second half of the season here, or is that attainable?
Yeah, I think what he's done so far is certainly attainable, right? You want to have high expectations for your players, and Bo set the bar really high. We want to keep it there.
A year ago, you were playing the Washington Fight song in practice to fire these guys up. Do you have anything new up your sleeve? You can be doing that again this year.
We're going to try to win the game, right? We're going to try to win the game. We'll see what that looks like.
Is there a stat or two that really stands out when you looked at it, and that you really like this part of the season?
I'm not really a big statistic, guys. I like that W, right, at the end of each day, right? I know the statistics that matter, like we said, is takeaways, explosive plays, right? Third down offense and defense and red area scoring, right? Those are the ones that really matter.
How and why has Troy become so much more effective outside the red zone for you guys? Like, he has more touchdowns outside the red zone this year in 5 games than he had last year, and he was very effective, but it's just that much more.
Yeah, when you can score from far, right, that's a weapon for you. It's about a lot of things. It's about yards after catch. It's about yards after contact. It's about finding ways to get them open, right, and make sure you take advantage of them when you do. But we've done a little bit of all of that.
What's Jurion's progress look like, and is he close to maybe being a contributor?
Yeah, he did a great job today. He had a big catch on us today. And I think he'll continue to, grow. He's gotten better and better. He's gotten himself in shape. He was coming off a knee injury there at the end of high school, and I think that he's really worked himself through that. So hoping that he can certainly help us down the stretch.
What did you make of Nico Reed's performance at Stanford for a guy who's played a lot of star this year and was on the outside for most of that game?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I think our whole defense was excited to see him go out there and perform. You don't know when your number will be called, and he went out there and executed at a high level when his number was called.
How important was it to see Dante Manning play the way he did last week when, again, no surprise, like, you're going to be facing a lot of 4 and 5 wide sets coming up here, and last year against Washington was a tough game for him. To see that kind of performance and probably an increase in confidence ahead of what's about to come up for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's important for our players to go out there and execute at a high level. He did that last week. We have that same expectation for him going forward. He did a good job.
You able to treat Camden State last week as kind of just a mulligan and write it off to a certain extent? Or I'm sure there's things to improve on and to address, yes, but like, how do you go about viewing it?
Yeah, I don't know if people factor in. There's actually a little bit more wind there at Stanford, but there will be some other games that we play with more wind as well. But that being said, I'd say Cam has proven over time that he can be automatic, and he wasn't last week. So I know he'll challenge himself, and we'll certainly challenge him to continue to improve.
What is the recruiting plan for you guys this weekend with the off week to be able to? Is everybody going to hit the road here for the full weekend?
Yeah, we'll have a couple coaches go out on the road today, and then we'll have the rest of the staff out on Thursday and Friday this week.
Yeah, so a lot of practice for the Ducks here on site, but then recruiting. Bye weeks are always big for recruiting, allows the coaches to hit the road and see those next Ducks that'll be here on campus sooner than later. That was Dan Lanning, brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. It's Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. OnPoint. People are the point. Up next, Rob Moseley's here, GoDucks.com editor-in-chief. We're going to look at the bye week, but I'm also going to ask him a little bit about the Huskies. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays? The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
By OnPoint Community Credit Union, Joey Mack, joined by Rob Moseley in the Country Financial Studio. Rob, happy work week.
Yes, sir.
Can't call it
Not
a bye week. It's work week.
Yes.
What did you work on in your own craft as you looked internally and it was Rob Moseley versus Rob Moseley this week?
So, like, I was out at women's basketball practice Monday.
Nice.
So it sort of felt like the overlap is beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of a good time for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of ease into the overlap.
Sure.
You know, that's obviously you're familiar. For those who don't know the term, yeah, that period, you know, late fall, early winter, and then late winter, early spring, when like two different quarters are overlapping. Right now, you know, football, volleyball, soccer still going on, but basketball is about to start up.
Yep.
In the spring, it's basketball still going on, but baseball, softball, track and field, and the rest get going. You know, there's a few weeks each time of year that get really, really dicey. The nice thing is your head's spinning so fast.
Right.
You just sort of emerge on the backside of it.
Yeah.
Usually, and like, oh, hey, it's Christmas.
Your helicopter blade spins so fast
Yeah.
that you just raise above the clouds.
Right. Yeah. You don't see it. Kind of
Right.
like, yeah, that's a good metaphor. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It was kind of good timing that way. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Basketball practices are underway. I've been over at Matthew Knight Arena a little bit this week too. Like it's here, and I know a lot of fans. This is another reminder. I think that the schedule is coming soon, based on the fact that TV networks are making their selections. A lot of people have been asking, like, when are we going to get a conference schedule?
I would like to confirm that.
Yes.
That you think that it's coming soon.
Yes.
That I can confirm.
Was that a good way for me to say what I said?
Absolutely.
Because you knew what I was getting at.
No, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
This
is great. He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. All right, though, it is football bye week. We just heard from Coach Lanning. I don't know, Rob, like what – it is the bye week, so I feel like it's always like an inventory check when you look internally. What do you think?
I think this is probably not going to be what some of the most rabid diehards want to hear, because I think for a lot of folks it was like, oh, we get 2 weeks of hating on the Huskies. This is great. Let me embrace that. Yeah, I think Coach Lanning and his program are taking a slightly different tact. I mean, you don't – it sort of feels a little bit different. I mean, there's certainly a focused intensity. I mean, I think this group is in a really good place mentally in terms of getting in their work, having fun doing it, et cetera. But, you know, I think as we've seen, like, Coach is like a maestro, you know, a conductor with an orchestra in terms of how he manages this team's emotions. And then, you know, there's that crescendo late in the week to game day where he's got them just frothing at the mouth, ready to go. And, you know, if you watch all the video recaps that are coming out these days, I think you have a sense for that.
That was a good metaphor.
Thanks, bro.
Well done.
But music minor, the old cello playing days came through for me.
Oh, boy.
But so I think still right now, you know, it's in the introduction, you know, it's we're just at a medium tempo. methodical, but not really ramping it up quite yet.
Once upon a time, you used to have a challenge every week when you would do the weekly segment with me that you had to work in a certain word.
Yeah.
Was crescendo the word this week?
It was not. It could have been. Crescendo's a big pet peeve of mine because, and this is one of those terms that's been kind of perverted a little bit because in musical terms, which is where it's from, a crescendo is a build. A crescendo is a process.
Right.
And yet, so the people who are less musically inclined tend to define it as a peak that you reach,
right,
rather than the process of climbing toward the peak.
Right.
And, so every time I see some sports writer say that the game reached a crescendo, I want to punch my computer screen.
The game crescendoed to
right,
a certain moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's the crescendo is the process, not the result. Anywho.
This is wordsmithery with Robert Moseley.
Yes.
Again. Good SAT word, though.
No doubt.
No
doubt.
How many people would select it instead of building? It would be the climax. That's what you were talking about here. I bet you it's wrong a lot.
Yeah.
See?
Throw the flag.
You learn something.
Anytime you hear somebody do that, throw the flag.
Yeah. Okay. We will. I think you're right.
Not
though.
like if it's Dan Lanning or anything like that. Yeah. Just
we have yet to throw the flag on Coach Lanning.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'd probably
depending on it.
Depending on the context, he'd probably take it fine.
I think he would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, penalties. That's one thing. Ducks have cut those down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about self-examination. I think that, penalties and being more consistent were maybe the two biggest topics that came up with Coach Lanning first few weeks. Those haven't been as big of topics the last couple weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. There are a couple flags in the course of play last week, a couple on those kickoffs. But, dramatic reduction from what the season average had been. And I'm sure that's a point of emphasis this week. I mean, that's exactly, I think, the sort of thing that in a week like this, it's like, okay, let's really attack that. Let's, there's really some details there that we think we can clean up or whatever to cut down on that. So, when you talk about having a work week, those are the sorts of things you presumably identify and really attack and try to improve.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like you were talking about the videos earlier.
Yeah.
It's always like Ducks versus them.
Yep.
That's been the theme. And Coach Lanning talks all the time about how it's Oregon versus Oregon. And, that this week really is the defining factor. However, people like you and me get to also spend at least a little bit of time this week talking about how it looks like it's going to be a doozy next Saturday.
Yeah, 2 top 10 teams for the first time ever.
How about that?
Yeah. That was one of those things that, surprised me but didn't.
Really?
I mean, it's like if you let's be frank. The long history of Oregon football didn't produce a whole lot of top 10 rankings, for the first 90 years or whatever.
Sure.
And so, the classic eras of Husky football, 70s, 80s, the early 90s, the Oregon teams just weren't matching that. And then by the same token, in recent years, when it's been Oregon that's been the team most likely to be top 10 in any given poll, some of those Husky teams haven't been quite as good. So to have kind of both programs where they're at right now, for the first time ever in the history of the rivalries is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, there's some other matchups that, might not continue following this year, given all the realignment and everything like that. But, knowing that this is an opponent that is going to remain your rival long term, it's not like, let's just lay it on the line this one time, this one last time. I mean, it's like this is going to be the latest chapter in this rivalry, and it's going to continue, and that's fun.
Someone asked me the other day, Rob, how come there isn't a name for this rivalry? And the history of that, I'm going to defer to you more so. I mean, I
can't say I have a great sense for that.
Yeah, nothing to me has ever come up. Like, I've asked Jerry and Jorgie that. They're always like, what do you mean? It's just ducks and dogs. Like, that's just what you say.
I would suspect that just for the longest time, again, it was reasonably one-sided in the favor of UW. So, it didn't really feel like a rivalry for a long time. And then
that's a good point.
And then it did for a few years, and then it didn't again for a few years. I mean, there was some real nastiness, from mid-'90s to early 2000s, Keith Lewis and Reggie Williams and Cody Pickett and, all those teams. I mean, there was some real nastiness in that era. And then, the Huskies dropped off a little bit, And then, the times, I think it's been 8 times that both have been ranked.
That sounds right.
Something like that. And, I think Oregon's 6-2. Including 3-1 at home, 3-1 on the road, if I'm remembering correctly. And if I'm not,
we'll check it next week.
Yeah. We'll never bring it up again.
It'll be in the notes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. It'll be in the notes. It'll be in the notes on Monday. Don't worry.
But still, again, so to be top 10 at the same time is pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to make for really fun. I'm glad that you Like, I felt a little bit kind of like, maybe I should have a better answer to it, just never has come up to name the thing.
Right.
But then I started thinking, like, there are tons of rivalries that have names. There are also tons of rivalries that don't.
There's some that have some dumb names.
They are weird names, aren't they? Yeah. So, in any case, here's
a question for you
about
the game next week. I was talking about this with somebody the other day. Because I was thinking, the way Oregon can run the ball, obviously the Huskies rely a lot on their passing offense, which is amazingly prolific and really impressive. And we saw that here last year. So, I was thinking, hey, maybe it'd be better for the Ducks if the weather's kind of cruddy. And, it makes it a little tougher to complete passes, and you can rely a little bit on your running game and defense and turn it in that kind of game. And maybe that plays to Oregon's advantage. Not that Oregon can't throw the ball as well and wouldn't benefit from good weather that way, but, might feel like you have an edge in some other elements. And then I was talking to somebody else who was like, nah, I want it, kind of like Matt Ulmer's been talking about with volleyball. I want to see everybody's best, and that way you test yourself and you find out kind of who you are. And I'm like, I don't care about that at all. I just want to win. Like I brought up the Red Box Bowl and was like,
7-6 is a win,
absolutely.
baby.
24-point punts didn't matter.
Yeah.
I just want to win. So I don't know. Do you have a strong feeling one way or the other?
Yes. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
What is 1A in every time Coach Lanning talks to the team? What is 1A? What has to be done?
Win.
It's get a win.
Yeah.
1B is play to the standard.
Right.
Win the game.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like if it could be 2-0 and it could be just the Cal monsoon level of a downpour.
Right.
And if the Ducks are on the 2 side, I'm good with that.
Sign me up.
It's supposed to be the 10-day forecast ahead, 62 degrees, showers at kickoff.
Okay.
So I think it's just going to be a good old-fashioned Seattle day, Rob.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it rains, it's kind of drizzly, nothing too dramatic. Yeah.
Here's what I will say. I mean, to your point before about like the build-up and how people like you and I, we're kind of looking, but the Ducks are working, right? Well, it is the first time they've ever met, and we'll know for sure next week, but it's going to be a top 10 matchup between the two teams. It's with the way that the polls are projecting. I like the fact that also both teams are coming off a bye. I think that's great. Like, it does give the fan bases a lot of fun. And also, you talk about being at your best. Washington's up there working on some things right now, too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kalen DeBoer saying the same thing
that
Dan Lanning is. So.
No, the chess match that's potentially for this game that's potentially been going on for several weeks of what do we show on film to mess with them?
Kidding.
What do we not show? What do we make sure we don't show?
No kidding.
I have no idea if this is the case. This is purely hypothetical. But there could have been a time when somebody lined up wrong, and it was something that you're keeping in your back pocket to show for the Husky game. And you're like, we almost put something on film that we did not want to put on film yet. It's like those sorts of chess games that play out long term over the course of a season. So depending, again, what you're putting on film, what you're not, that the other staff is breaking down, all that I think is way deeper than any of us truly realize.
Well, so actually I can tell you that Jerry and Jorgie asked Coach Lanning that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, do you put so much on film that you have to spend a lot of practice time if you're the opposition preparing for it, or do you save a few things? And Coach was like, it's both.
Yeah.
It's a balancing
little
act.
this, little that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're think about it though. In the Stanford game, Stanford's offense able to move the ball, convert on some critical late downs.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Lanning said is because they hadn't seen that on film yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to make adjustments. So.
Right.
Oh, this is
That's what I think. The one thing this team has done really, really well
is
you've seen some things that are issues in the first quarter of a game that aren't as the game progresses.
Shoot, Portland State even.
Yeah, right. It's easy to take for granted once you clean it up and just say, well, that's what you're supposed to do. But, I mean, easier said than done.
Yeah.
To identify it, to get it communicated to your players, and then to get it executed, within the flow of a game is impressive.
Yeah. I want to ask you about a couple other things. We talked about how basketball is coming up. We'll be zeroing in on that a little bit more. But another check-in, we actually just talked with Coach Ulmer after Coach Lanning met with the media as well. They're on the road to Boulder and Salt Lake City, traditionally been one of the more difficult road trips, particularly in volleyball. Coach Ulmer's talked about that. A 1-1 split over the weekend, and it's been a long time since we've talked about a split weekend for Oregon volleyball.
Particularly at home.
Yeah.
You get a 20-match winning streak.
Yeah.
Through Friday, beat the Huskies, maybe set the tone.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, but then drop one to Washington State, which is a really, really, really good team. It's strange. It was a strange one. I mean, to see Mimi Collier, who's been so good, have an off night, that tells you how good she's been, because that just hasn't really happened, But But when you're going against other teams of that quality, top 10 teams, you really kind of need everybody to show up. And that's, obviously these guys want that to be happening, come like late November and December.
Right.
And so hopefully this is just a good reminder, though. Hey, you gotta show up. You gotta be engaged mentally, and you just gotta execute, night in, night out in these high level matches. And they've been testing themselves against high level competition so consistently that is a challenge, as Coach said. But if you want to be a national championship contender, you got to be up to that challenge.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The Ducks are on the road. Oregon soccer is also on the road. Oregon women's tennis is hosting the Duck Invitational this weekend. More details on GoDucks.com. And Oregon softball begins fall ball. And on that note, Missy Lombardi is on her way into the studio next to talk a little fall softball here during the football work week. He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Get some sleep.
Hey, thanks, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for the time.
You too. You got a kid. You don't get to sleep. Sorry.
It's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be a good weekend.
Oh, God. What has Alex got?
Oh, Alex is ready for us to take the break. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, buddy. Rob Moseley is right there.
I used that last
yeah, that's not unique.
Yeah.
Yep, not new.
Good try, bro. Got him!
Flag on the play. Coach Lombardi talking softball with us next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack, joined by Melissa Lombardi. Duck softball head coach is in the Country Financial studio. Missy, how are things?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, so it's fall ball season, which means this weekend you're back at Jane Sanders Stadium. Looks like it's going to be great weather, by the way. Free admission at the Jane. The entire fall schedule is available on GoDucks.com. Every weekend's going to have a charitable cause that you can help out with in lieu of paying admission to get into the Jane. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's start first backwards. How was the off season? What'd you do the whole off season?
Recruited. Just all summer long. Just watched games. You start at 8 in the morning and you watch games all day till the 8 p.m. at night is usually the last time slot.
How nice, though, is it to be back recruiting in person? I mean, I feel like you can't take that for granted now.
No, not at all. I love it. I could watch softball all day.
Yeah.
The tournaments that we go to, the softball that we watch is just top notch.
So what's the tell me honestly, what's the longest trip that you've made in your coaching career for like a recruiting trip? Like without coming home, you're going tournament, game.
Usually it's a week. Usually we would stay a week. We'd go to Colorado for a week or like a national tournament. It could be like a week and a half.
Okay.
But that's usually we come back in between.
I was just wondering, like, are you? There's a point where you're doing laundry on the trip, and I feel like you're probably there when you're recruiting over the summer.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully at that point I'm coming home. Like I have enough clothes that I'm on my way home the next day.
So the roster heading into this year, I wanted to talk with you about that. We'll cover the fall schedule a little bit, but also some new additions to the coaching staff in the offseason. One, a promotion, which is pretty darn cool. The NCAA now allows 3 full-time assistant coaches, and you get to promote one this year.
Yes. Alyssa Palomino Cardoza, Coach Liss. She came in and was a volunteer coach for us these past 2 years and has just been tremendous. Like she is just unbelievable in what she does, offensively, defensively, how she connects with our athletes. She's one that we've known since day one. We want to keep her, and trying to figure out how to do that. Usually when you volunteer, you might stay for a year or 2 years. Softball and baseball, we've been pushing to get that 4th paid assistant. We need it. We have 23 athletes on our team, and you need that additional coach.
How big of a deal? I mean, can you contextualize for fans why it is so important? What are the differences? How does it help you all as a coaching staff?
Well, I mean, just to be paid full time versus through camps and other ends, right. It's huge for her.
Right.
And I think it solidifies her and her opportunity to stay put. We want her to stay put. Yeah. So to be able to get what a full paid coach would get allows for her to stay. And so when this finally passed, it was great for us. We were excited, and I knew exactly who I wanted, and it was Coach Liss.
That's awesome. Coach Lombardi joining us. It also helps with recruiting. I mean, we talk about recruiting, right? But now you got another body that can go recruit your program.
Yes, for sure. And that's the whole thing. Like these tournaments, they used to start out and they were on the weekends, especially in the summer. And now they keep bleeding into the week. And just to have 3 of us, it's not enough. To be able to have 4 to go out and cover what we need to cover, it goes a long way.
And Coach Romero joining the staff. What can you tell us about Cindy Romero?
Coach Romero, I'm really happy that she's here. I think she's going to do some big-time things here. She's just a winner. She's a winner as a coach. She's a winner as a player. She's played at every level possible, whether, winning a College World Series. She's won conference championships. She's played internationally. She's done it all. And I think she has the ability to really connect with our athletes. And she can relate. She's playing professional ball right now, so she's training. She's playing as well. So not only is she able to help prepare them, but then she can show them because she's continuing to train on her own.
On that note, how big of a deal is that? It's becoming, I feel like, more common in collegiate sports that assistant coaches are continuing to compete. But I mean, man, you talk about an example right in front of your eyes. I don't know, just how big of a deal was that for you in making that decision for her to join your staff?
It was huge. I mean, I knew that she was the one that we wanted. I've known Coach Romero for a long time. One thing that I really like about her is that familiarity. Her and I both came from the same program. We grew up in the same way, and so just in the short time that she's been here, it's comforting because we just came from the same.
You finishing your own sentences with her sentences yet?
Yeah. No, for sure. It's good, and I feel like it's allowed her to settle in. You know, she's worked with Coach Martyr as well. She's grown up with Coach Liss. It's just very familiar all the way around, which I think allows her. We want our athletes to settle in, but obviously as a new coach, I want her to settle in so she can be her best for them, and you're seeing that happening.
So for Coach Romero and Coach Liss, I've talked to you all about this separately briefly, but I just want you all to know that, yes, we will have pictures of you playing against each other in a lot of different walks of your life. When you do your introductory interviews here on Duck Insider, we're ready.
Good.
Yeah, we're ready. There's a number of them out there. They have known each other for a very long time.
Yes.
It makes it kind of cool.
No, they've grown up in California. They played in the same travel organization. They played against each other. I mean, that's what I like. There's just familiarity. And, I want a coaching staff that has played and has won at the highest levels, and you see that. I think we've got the best coaching staff in the country. So,
talking softball with Missy Lombardi. The fall ball season is underway. Ducks are practicing, getting ready for the matchups this weekend. We'll tell you more about the schedule. It's on GoDucks.com. I did want to ask you one more thing in the offseason, though. Anytime you get a Hall of Famer from your program, that's pretty cool. Jess Moore, inducted into the Hall of Fame for Oregon Athletics, part of the 2023 class. Those of you who are interested, tomorrow's show is actually all about that Hall of Fame class. I put together like an hour-long examination of the entire class, including a conversation with Jess Moore. That's on tomorrow's Duck Insider. How cool is that for your program to see someone like Jess Moore? What she meant to the program?
Oh, like I can't even. I wasn't here when she was here, and I know what she has meant to this program just from being an outsider. I got a summer to work with her with Team USA. I was on the coaching staff, and it was awesome. Like, she is a fierce competitor. I don't know anybody that is the competitor that she is. She's fierce, and you're going to compete on her level or you're not. And you just think of what she has done for Oregon. And I think when you say trailblazer, it makes it sound like she's old. She's not old, but she is a trailblazer. She didn't have the blueprint. I think once you get to the World Series, you create a blueprint, and then that blueprint gets handed down to the teams after you. Like, she didn't have the blueprint. She had to figure it out with her teammates, with her coaching staff, and how to get there, and she did. So having her here, us getting to celebrate her career, and just kind of treat her like a queen while she was here. It was great to get her in front of our team. She's been retired, and she could go out on the field. She could have gone out on the field, and I'm sure she would have done just fine. But that's just that's what's in her, and you can't teach that.
Yeah. It was cool. So I got the chance to MC the event. I talked with Jess a lot, and it was cool for she and I to exchange some stories about how when I was calling games for softball at the time at Howe Field, it would rain. Not quite Jane Sanders Stadium. We all know that. And we had a tarp over us with all of our headsets and equipment. At one time, Jess was kind enough to come up. It started having a torrential downpour, as sometimes would happen. And I'll never forget, she took the headset off and was like, well, see you guys, and just walked off into the rain. But anyway, it was fun reliving some of those memories. Talking with Coach Lombardi. So I talked to you about this, I feel like, a lot in the early season, like how important the off season is in fall ball. And I did want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about strength and conditioning. Like, that's, I know, a huge deal. It's a huge pillar of your program in the off season. I don't know, just a chance to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it starts in the weight room. Everything we do, it starts in the weight room with Coach KJ. This group they have in the summertime, to me, they're all in different places, and they do a great job of staying connected through a group text. They actually call themselves the Swole Ducks in the summertime.
Yes.
No, I love it. It's awesome.
Great.
And they together stay connected and stay committed to the high level of training that they need to do in the summer. And then from there, they bring it into the fall.
That's great.
But what we do in the weight room determines what we're going to do out on the field. You start to see balls hit further. It's because of what KJ's doing with them. You see velo off the mound, Coach KJ. So what I love is that they all recognize the importance of it. They embrace it. They don't go in the weight room because they just need to lift and get it over with. They go in to do it because they love it, and they know what it does for them.
Sunday, 2:30, the Ducks take on Corbin. It's going to be on the Oregon live stream if you're not able to make it to the Jane. But if you can, if you're in Eugene, 2:30, weather looks great on Sunday. Encourage you to come check it out. Going to be a 10-inning game, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a little extra bonus softball this weekend. What do you want to see when your team's back on the field against somebody that isn't wearing an Oregon uniform?
I'm excited to get back together and just be as one. Right now, in practice, we're going against ourselves. So I think it's always nice to be able to come together and see what we look like as one, but really to see where we're at. You know, we think about where we finished and where we want to go. So it's about being at a high level right now in the fall season. It's about understanding the importance of right now and the things we do now that's going to allow us to do what we need to do come season.
And I mentioned at the start of this, every weekend there's a different charitable cause to help support with all of these fall games. So it's free admission at Jane Sanders Stadium, but if you can donate to this weekend, the Maui Wildfire Relief, that's the charitable cause. But some others that are upcoming, Sock Drive, it's Socktober.
Socktober,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, you got to do that. The Toy Drive game, which has now been a long-running, I guess, tradition in your program. The Toy Drive has always been really successful, and then a canned food drive, also a paint game coming up. Multiple tournaments that you're hosting this fall. So I know you're excited, aren't you?
Yeah, I do. I think it's important. Our athletes have a platform, whether they like it or not. They have a platform being a student athlete here at Oregon, which they all like. And then so, how are you going to use your platform? And I think anytime that they can give back to our community and get very involved in our community, it's important that we do that, and they want to do that.
Couple thoughts for Coach Lombardi. So now I'm going to ask you some very unfair questions because you haven't played against, someone else yet. And every fan wants to know. So who's going to be your starting catcher? Who's going to be your starting second baseman? Because you're replacing a couple All-Americans. What's the roster going to look like? So there you go. Unfair questions. What do you got?
I don't know.
This is what fall's for, though, right?
This is what fall is for. Right now, these guys, every day they step out on the field. They step in the weight room. They are competing. So the fall, it's wide open. Nothing's set in stone. And we've got some really good competitions going on. You look at Allie Bunker and Tara McGowan and what those two have done for our program, and since I've been here, and it's bittersweet because it's time. It's time for their next chapter. But then we see what they've done for our program.
Yeah.
But then I'm excited about our young athletes that are coming in. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that a little bit. Like when you have two All-Americans, I joke. I mean, this is an unfair question, right? But you're replacing two All-Americans like that. Everyone can look at that and be like, well, that's going to be something, So how important is it with that in mind, like not just on the field, but the leadership they brought off the field? I mean, how do you cultivate that at this time of year as you head into the spring?
No, that's something we're cultivating right now. We obviously do a lot of the physical part of our game, but we are very strong with the mental part and the culture part. You're hearing new, maybe not new voices, but you're hearing certain voices more this year than last year. And that's what it's about. I think Allie and Tara, what I appreciate from them is that they wanted to leave this program better than they found it. And it was important to them that they pass the baton to this next, group of leaders. Sure. And I think this next group of leaders are ready to accept it and go. So I think of leaders that we have this year that were leaders last year, but maybe roles were different, where now you might feel some of them a little more vocal this year, where they were more by example last year. You see their roles change a little bit, but they're elders and they're ready to accept on the role. They've done a really good job right now just getting our group to come together. I think the most important thing our older athletes can do right now is to help our young athletes settle in. Yeah. Can they settle in socially? Can they settle in academically and softball, and all softball? Because if they can do that and they feel like they can just be who they want to be, they're going to do 10 times better on the field.
Sure.
And they understand that.
Well, 2 transfers that you'll get to know, 6 freshmen, 13th ranked national recruiting class. So that's, some new faces that you're all going to see at the Jane that we'll be talking about as the battles continue. That's positionally, but how nice is it to have 99% of your pitching return this year?
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, that helps, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, because they know they know they're continuing on into this year. They know what they need to do. They know they're older. They're older. They're experienced.
Well, what did we miss? Anything else?
Goodness, I felt like you covered things pretty quick.
Hey, we try. I told Coach that we would get her back on schedule today, and we'd end early, so we're doing that. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks again for being here, though, in all seriousness. GoDucks.com. The entire fall schedule is available. Charitable cause every weekend, and you get to see some softball action. And then I'm sure we'll catch up once or twice as the season approaches. So thank you, Coach. When we come back, actually a little bit of the other diamond sport, duck baseball, is back practicing as well. Checking in with that sport next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you. On the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. From Coach Lanning to Rob Moseley to Missy Lombardi, now checking in on Duck Baseball. A couple weeks ago, Oregon began practices as the roster starts to sort out, just like Oregon softball now. Duck Baseball is in action. And I'll tell you, talking earlier with Mark Wazakowski, Grayson Grinsel, Bennett Thompson, Jacob Walsh, I think the Ducks, despite replacing a few key position guys and, well, maybe some rotation guys too, they feel pretty good about the health of this team, and one of them, we were all nervous about Grayson Grinsel, a guy who may figure into the rotation, was certainly a big-time contributor as a freshman on the mound. Thought maybe he was banged up at the end of last season. Fortunately, it looks like he's raring to go as the Ducks baseball team back at practice, checking in with Grayson Grinsel.
Grayson, you were kind of bumped around last year from role to role, starting out as a reliever, then moving to a starter towards the end, kind of an opener. Just, you have a dedicated role going into this season, or are you still maybe a little bit up in the air?
I'd say everyone's up in the air. I mean, with the new pitching coach, Coach Hawksworth, I mean, no one really knows. I mean, we're all just going into the fall trying to get better every day, and it's gonna be a good fall.
The offseason, just overall improvements. What were you looking to work on this offseason?
I mean, really, it was just trying to get healthy after the Super Regional, just trying to rehab, make sure I'm all healthy, and get stronger in the weight room, and yeah, just get bigger overall.
It's a scary looking situation. It seems like maybe you dodged a bullet. What?
Yeah, I definitely got lucky there. Luckily nothing too crazy. So just tried to stay healthy over the summer, take a little break from throwing, and get back to doing what we do.
Is that hard? I mean, you're a young guy, exuberant guy. You probably want to be right back out there. What's it like attacking that mindset of, okay, I got to be smart, while also kind of preparing myself as much as I can?
Yeah, it's definitely tough being a young guy. I mean, I was excited, but just taking it day by day, making sure. Talking with the coaches, talking with the athletic trainer every day, making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and not getting too off track.
Are you throwing now? Are you leading up to it?
Yeah, I've been throwing for a month now and just trying to get back into it, get healthy again, and get back to doing what we do and have a competitive fall.
For all you guys that kind of got thrown into it last year, just how much did that pay dividends? I mean, just how much more comfortable do you think you guys all feel? And it's hard to compare it if you played less, but just the comfort level you guys feel now coming off last year as younger guys.
I mean, it was a huge plus, definitely. I mean, we got a bunch of guys who got a lot of innings last year, who are good leaders, and we're a super young team this year, but we still got all that experience. I mean, RJ and Isaac coming back is huge for leadership, and I mean, we got a lot of guys who can provide their knowledge and experience to the guys coming in.
How would you describe those two guys' mindset coming off, not being able to go last year?
I mean, they're out for blood. I mean, it was definitely tough for them being in the dugout, not being able to do what they're so good at. But I mean, yeah, you can definitely see it, and they're hungry, and they're going to lead us very well this year.
For you now a year older, at this point last year, can you kind of compare your comfortability level now during fall practices versus when it was when you were first starting fall practices?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a huge difference. I mean, yeah, you know what kind of to expect every day, and just know how to help the younger guys, because I mean, we were all in the same position last year, so we really just we've helped them kind of just take a breath, take a step back, not get going too fast, kind of take a step back, take a breath, and get themselves calm, cool, and collected.
Do you feel like you're embracing a leadership role on the team now that you've been around for a year and you had some big innings last year?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to help the new guys, the younger guys, as much as I can. Kind of provide the knowledge of what went through the last fall, what went through last year, and just kind of help them just what to expect.
Seems like the seniors played a big part in kind of that building that culture in order to have that success in the postseason. Just what are you guys trying to do as a team in order for some players to step up to kind of fulfill that leadership, to try and continue that culture to have another really successful year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the seniors last year, I mean, Gavin Grant, he's back helping coach this year, which is great. He's definitely going to help. Drew Cowley, Tanner Smith, I mean, Jay Stoffel, Josh Malaris, I mean, all these guys, they're just old. And I mean, now that they're gone, I mean, they've passed on their knowledge to us, and we're just going to do the best we can to help the younger guys and keep that culture and everything right and keep it going.
Do you know what role Gav's in?
I do not. I just know that he's helping this year, which is going to be a big help.
Well, I said there's only been like a couple bullpens so far, but just your first thoughts on Hawk and how he's done as a pitching coach after Angier left.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Hawkworth, he's a great guy. He's definitely gonna be a good coach. I mean, we're only a couple days in right now, but I mean, I can already tell that he's definitely gonna help this pitching staff a lot. And I mean, he's got a lot of knowledge to pass on. I mean, he played with Clayton Kershaw. He definitely has knowledge that we can absorb and use to the best of our ability.
You could go back to yourself a year from now or a year ago, and tell yourself something about before going into this whole experience that maybe you're going to give on to some of the next freshmen. What would it be? Any piece of advice?
I'd say just to enjoy it. I mean, like everyone says, it goes by super fast, and I mean, it truly does. And you just kind of have to sometimes take a step back and just kind of look around and enjoy and be like appreciative of where you are. I mean, we're blessed to be in this position. I mean, that's really, yeah, just enjoy it.
A lot of great stuff from Grayson Grensel checking in with Duck Baseball here as the Ducks are now back at practice. They've had some scrimmages. They've gone through a few different, shall we say, routines that they go through to start a season, most notably in the weight room. You'll notice all the guys are wearing just the white Nike T-shirt. That's Waz's approach this time of year. Everyone's not wearing all the new flashy gear. That comes when you earn it in the spring and when you earn your spot on the roster. That's the way that Mark Wasikowski's always gone about his business. I like that personally. A lot of off-season work, though, and I mentioned a new coach in Blake Hawksworth. I mean, he has a ton of experience, and I think Grayson Grensel's excited about what he brings after Jake Angier became a head coach. So now the Ducks have made that one change on the coaching staff. And similar, I should mention, we were talking with Coach Lombardi about this, that Marcus Hinkle, for the Oregon baseball coaching staff, he's also been elevated to that paid assistant coach role. I personally, it was a long time coming for baseball and softball. The coach-to-student-athlete ratio for those sports was just way off, it felt like to me. And, man, it's awesome to see now the growth of those sports staffs, and also I think in recruiting, it's only going to help. When we come back, a quick timeout, your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill looking around the Oregon Athletic Department. We've got that for you next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. The schedule ahead for all of Oregon athletics as we look at your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. It's a bye week for Duck football. That means that they've done some community service. They're going to be working on a number of things in practice that we've discussed a bit, but I think Coach Lanning would tell you that this is a week where Oregon can identify a number of things, and instead of prepping for an opponent, you can spend a lot of time just making yourself better. That's been the focus in practice this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, Oregon soccer against USC. It's in Los Angeles, televised on Pac-12 Network. 3 o'clock, Graham Abel's team, man, they've dealt with injuries. They're a young roster. They're trying to get off the snide and get that breakthrough, and I feel like once they do, and again, Coach Abel joins Ryan Milano on Duck Insider every Monday, I think once they do, you might see them string some matches together where they've got a little bit more confidence. That's 3 o'clock tomorrow. Duck soccer is in action. Oregon volleyball in Boulder. Ducks and Buffs on Pac-12 Oregon, 6 o'clock on Friday. Matt Ulmer's team trying to bounce back. They're top 5 in the RPI, trying to bounce back after what was a tough loss to Washington State. If you missed our conversation with Coach Ulmer on the show yesterday, he said, yeah, there were a couple moments where things could have turned, and Oregon might have won that top 10 battle with Washington State. Oregon volleyball is also in action on Sunday at 11 a.m. in Salt Lake City. No TV, but there will be a Utah live stream for that one. And then Duck soccer at 1 o'clock on Pac-12 Insider against UCLA on Sunday. Also Oregon softball on Sunday against Corbin. That's the Maui Wildfire Relief Game. That's the charitable cause this weekend. Oregon softball at 2:30 on Sunday. Duck Invitational for Oregon women's tennis going on Friday, Saturday, all weekend long. And Oregon men's and women's golf both wrapped up tournaments. Late round dramatics from a fifth-year senior for women's golf gave the Ducks a third-place finish. Oregon men's golf, they wrapped things up with a top 5 finish in 4th place. Your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container.